So I'm back. So we were at why would Nigeria need our freedom? So, and that will take us back to slavery, right? That the reason we had to get independence in the first place is because we were not free. And we were not free because we were captured. So Nigeria as a space was captured. And by the way, this is a continuation of a video I started not long ago. So it's actually still, the earlier part of the video is still on my page, right? So you can get to see how we got here. So we needed independence because we were not free. And I said that would take us to colonization, no, rather slavery. So, but the slavery that would happen within our space was actually now different from the old slavery that happened, that the modernized slavery or the 20th or 19th century slavery would mean that we would be slave within our space, that our land will be captured, even though we are not new to that as a space, as African space, we are not new to that, of being captured and being the land being taken away from you. But for the first time, the people who would do this would have a different color compared to us. And prior to this time of colonization, slavery had existed. They've already been exploiting some of our brothers from Africa to go to farmlands, plantations, and work there. So there was colonization. And colonization, just like I said, would mean being a slave within your space. That the space that was formerly ours, because we were now captured through war. And some parts of Nigeria, there was resistance that happened. In Benin, for instance, there were resistance from the natives, that would fight the oppressive system or the colonial masters, right? Before they were being captured. So they won't be as lucky as in the case of the Ethiopians, where they were able to fight and resist successfully the colonial masters, right? And Ethiopia still remains the only country in Africa that is not that was not colonized, right? So back to the conversation. So what would be taken from us that would be needed to be given back to us will now be the whole essence of independence. So the question should be, well, what were those things that was taken away from us that we now have? And mind you, this independence of freedom, you could see that is also a bit negative compared to the constructive and the modern examples that I have used. For instance, if someone gets into an institution, you can argue that the person will become better when they leave such institution. If someone gets into a particular trade or work, you can argue that such person will be, by the time they are leaving, will become better at that thing. But in our own case, because this wasn't institution, this was serious torture, serious and extreme unimaginable torture within our space, of our ancestors within our space. So the only gain we could have taken out of that school, and by the way, in the case of Nigeria, it lasted about colonization, slavery within our space lasted nothing less than 50 years. But in total, slavery itself will last about between 400 to 500 years, right, in total. So what could we have gained from this? So what could we have gained from this? I said, your guess is as good as mine. And what we would gain is our extreme level of wickedness and hatred. That's one. So, because going forward, everything that would happen within that space of time would mean to survive within that space would mean to go against your people and your land. In fact, the best of the survivalists at that time will be the best friends of our oppressors and our colonial masters. And you know what that means? That means extreme wickedness on their people for survival. So that was what colonial period would mean to us. But most importantly, one of the things that will be taken from us, I don't know why my network keep disconnecting, but like I was saying, one of the things that will be taken from us would be our land. One of the vital parts of things that will be taken from us will be our lands. But like I said, this is just an intro conversation into what we will do throughout this week. So we would explain what that land would mean. But let me just give you a preview that land would mean business activities, economic activities. That land would mean education. That land would mean the politics within the space, right? That land would mean the capacity to associate, most importantly, what will be taken also from us would be ourselves, and what do I mean by ourselves? Our capacity to think. If you ask a modern house help, especially the ones living with a wicked madam, you know that their time does not belong to them, right? If the man comes back by 1 a.m., who do you think they are going to wake up to go and open the gates? Is the maid. Why? Because she's the weakest in the house. So we became the weakest, and our time wasn't ours. So imagine that we do not have a sleeping time and a waking up time, because our time don't have what is called thinking time and talking time, because our time wasn't ours. We do. Yeah, so I'm back. So like I was saying, our time wasn't ours, so we didn't have capacity to live. I think we'll stop here for now. I'll try and put this as a test. I'm recording there. I'm doing a screen record. No, sorry, not a screen record. I'm I'm doing a text-to-speech record, and over time, I think that's what I'll be doing right now every night, because I can see that some of the videos are already offline. I don't know why. I don't know if they are reporting it or not, but I'll try and be doing this, and then so that I can. If you need to get my Linktree link, where you get all the blogs where I publish some of my news, some of my blog, some of my posts on. But for me as a Nigerian, this is information that you need to know. What is independence and why you're celebrating it, and what should be the outlook. It is when we know why we're celebrating something, that's when we are going to have a definition of what is expected of us. I could see a whole lot of people gathering around Independence Day and celebrating and jumping up, thinking that is graduation day. No, Independence Day was not your graduation day, and it was not your birthday. It's two different things. Independence Day was a struggle, was a day to acknowledge one struggle of freedom. It's a day to begin to look inward, that at the end of the day, are you free? Because it's a freedom day. It's a freedom day, just like the maid. Eventually, when the maid gets her freedom, it's her freedom. She knows and she understands what it means. So for some of you who think that the land wasn't taken from us, let me just give you this. You can Google the Queen of England and how many lands belongs to the Queen of England. And Google will give you that she owns about 32 countries. That about 22 countries belong to the Queen of England. That's about 6 point something, it's either billion or million acres of land. Let's say million of, let me stick with the list. 6.6 million, I think it's billion, but you can Google it, you can confirm it. 6.6 million acres of land belongs to the Queen, the person of the Queen. So when you celebrate independence, you need to ask yourself if you're actually celebrating freedom, or you're just celebrating an advancement of what could be freedom. And then I will tell you my opinion about whether we are free, and then I will tell you my opinion. But just like I said, today will just be an intro to this introduction, and I hope I've done some justice to this. I think we have freedom. I think the freedom, even though I must also make a disclaimer to say that the freedom of owning the land now is just on paper. That freedom is not is on paper. Technically, we actually still do not own the land, because by the time you look at the things we are supposed to be doing with the land, and we ask ourselves, are we doing those things that we are supposed to do with our lands? No, we are not. We are not productive with it. We are not developing it. We are not creating things out of the land. So we are not doing it. But I would say that for a fact, one place where we became free is that we became free in our level of individuality. That we can now think, sleep, own our time, sort of, means that we are free. And our expectation of that freedom cannot be taken out of what was paid for, because freedom for us was paid for, it wasn't free, it wasn't a negotiation. And this is where our self-consciousness, our national consciousness knowledge comes in. We need to invest in this type of knowledge and type of learning, right? So we need to get to that point where we understand what independence is, not to mistaking it for birthday or freedom that is progressive. No. It's just the same way after the the slavery was ended within the black space, within the American space and other spaces. The next day they will wake up is the same feeling. The next day they will wake up will be, oh, now we can do anything we want to do, but we do not own the land, we do not have anything, we do not own the stuff. So what do we do next? And that is the conversation. That independence itself is a journey. It's not a destination. So we cannot say that we have arrived at the destination without the understanding of the need to continue what was initiated. What was initiated in 1960 must be continued, not totally just come into expecting that would fix the problem, or that will be enough, or that is enough. No, we can't celebrate the achievement of the old, but not leaving out the responsibility that it will post on us of our freedom. I hope this was able to help you learn and get something out of this.